During the turbulent era of the Three Kingdoms, battles were fought not only on the battlefield but also in the shadows of court intrigues and personal relationships. The destinies of the great generals and rulers were often shaped by the women behind them, women who wielded influence through wit, grace, and sometimes cunning schemes. Among them were three remarkable figures: Yulan, Xia Houlian, and Lady Cam. Yulan, the wife of Guan Yu, was known for her intelligence, diplomacy, and strategic thinking. Born into a noble family in Jingzhou, she had been educated in literature, etiquette, and the art of persuasion. To Guan Yu, she was not only a devoted wife but also an invaluable advisor, often guiding him in important decisions. Xia Houlian, the wife of Zhang Fei, was entirely different. Raised in the militaristic Xiahou family, she embodied strength, directness, and courage. Though initially captured as a war prize after Liu Bei's forces defeated her family, her resilience and loyalty won Zhang Fei's heart. Despite her warrior-like demeanor, she remained deeply committed to her new family. Lastly, there was Lady Cam, Liu Bei's wife. Known for her calm and gentle demeanor, she often acted as the glue that held the family together. Behind her serene exterior lay a sharp intellect and a deep understanding of power dynamics, enabling her to maintain harmony in the chaotic world around her. It all began on a frigid winter day. Following their victory at Jiangling, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei organized a grand celebration in Xiangyang. The event served as a rare moment of respite for the generals and their families, offering an opportunity for the women to gather and strengthen their bonds. In a room adorned with elegant furnishings, the three women convened for a private tea ceremony. Yulan, clad in a flowing jade-green silk dress, exuded an air of confidence as she took her seat at the center. Lady Cam, dressed in soft pink hues, radiated warmth and composure, while Xia Houlian, with her simple yet sturdy attire, maintained her characteristic strength and straightforwardness. Yulan, with her poised demeanor, quickly took charge of the conversation, steering it toward the role of a wife in tumultuous times. "What do you ladies think?" she began, her voice melodic yet tinged with authority. "About the responsibilities of a wife in these challenging times? I have always believed that a wife must do more than care for her household. She must think broadly, for the greater good." Lady Cam nodded with a gracious smile. "That is true. Sometimes, we must sacrifice small comforts to ensure stability for our families and the larger cause." Xia Houlian, who had been silently observing, felt a growing unease with Yulan's seemingly veiled words. She disliked the overly polished tone, which she suspected concealed ulterior motives. Never one to shy away from confrontation, Houlian decided to speak up. "The greater good is important," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "But I also believe that loyalty and honesty are just as vital. There are those who speak beautifully, yet their words may not always reflect their hearts." The atmosphere grew tense. Yulan's eyes briefly flashed with sharpness before she resumed her composed expression. With a practiced smile, she responded, "You're absolutely right. Loyalty and honesty are indeed virtues to be admired. But sometimes, flexibility and adaptability are necessary to navigate the complexities of life. Rigidity can lead to unintended consequences." Sensing the tension between the two, Lady Cam interjected with her usual tact. "We are all sisters here, each with our unique ways of supporting our husbands. The most important thing is that we remain united for the greater cause." Lady Cam's words momentarily eased the tension. But beneath the surface, each woman harbored her own thoughts. For Yulan, Lady Cam's apparent siding with Houlian was disappointing. Meanwhile, Houlian remained skeptical of Lady Cam's sincerity, suspecting that her words were merely a facade of diplomacy. Later that evening, Yulan found herself pondering Lady Cam's motives. She admired the older woman's composure but couldn't shake the feeling that Lady Cam might be a subtle rival. Determined to uncover her true intentions, Yulan decided to pay her a visit under the pretense of seeking advice. Sister Cam, the Yulan began, her voice soft and deferential. What do you think of Houlian? Do you believe she possesses the qualities needed to be the wife of a general? Lady Cam paused, her thoughtful gaze meeting He Yulan. After a moment, she replied with a gentle smile. Houlian is forthright and loyal. I believe these are admirable qualities, especially in times like these. The Yulan felt a twinge of disappointment. She had hoped Lady Cam would express some criticism of Houlian or align herself more closely with her own perspective. Instead, Lady Cam's response was measured and unyielding, revealing nothing that could be exploited. Meanwhile, Xia Houlian, still unsettled by the day's events, couldn't shake the feeling that He Yulan words carried hidden barbs. Though she often preferred directness over subtlety, Houlian resolved to watch He Yulan more closely. She was determined to uncover whether her suspicions were justified or simply the result of her own insecurities. Thus, seeds of distrust were sown among the three women, setting the stage for a series of events that would test the strength of their sisterhood and unveil the hidden rivalries lurking beneath their camaraderie. The frosty air of Xiangyang's winter could not cool the simmering tension between the women in Liu Bei's court. What had started as subtle barbs during the tea gathering now began to evolve into a silent contest of influence, strategy, and survival. Beneath the polished words and graceful smiles, the Yulan, Xia Houlian, and Lady Cam were beginning to weave their own threads of intrigue. The day after the tea gathering, Xia Houlian decided to visit Lady Cam at her residence within the city. Houlian's natural impulsiveness drove her curiosity. She sought clarity on what she had perceived as Lady Cam's carefully guarded neutrality. Was Lady Cam genuinely a peacemaker, or was she merely playing both sides? Lady Cam welcomed Houlian with her usual warmth, offering a bowl of steaming ginger tea. As they sat near the fireplace, Houlian decided to broach the topic that had been bothering her. Sister Cam, Houlian began, her tone unusually cautious. Yesterday, during the tea, I noticed how skillfully you calmed the room. You truly have a gift for diplomacy. Lady Cam smiled gently, placing her cup down. Thank you, Houlian. It's not so much a gift as it is a necessity. In times like these, harmony among us is vital. Houlian hesitated before pressing further. Do you believe that He Yulan shares the same sentiment? Lady Cam's serene expression didn't waver. He Yulan is a wise woman. Her ways may be different, but I believe her intentions are aligned with our shared goals. Houlian frowned, unsatisfied with the vague response. Her straightforward nature made her ill-suited for navigating the subtleties of conversation. But her instincts told her that Lady Cam's careful words concealed deeper thoughts. Before Houlian could probe further, a servant interrupted to announce the arrival of He Yulan. Houlian stiffened at the unexpected timing, but Lady Cam appeared unfazed, welcoming He Yulan with the same warmth she had shown Houlian. Sisters, He Yulan greeted, her voice light yet deliberate. What a pleasant surprise to see the two of you together. It warms my heart to know that our bond remains strong. Houlian remained silent, her hands tightening around her cup. Lady Cam, however, replied with her usual grace. He Yulan, your visit is timely. We were just discussing the importance of unity among us. He Yulan's eyes flickered toward Houlian, sensing the younger woman's unease. Indeed, unity is what keeps us strong, He Yulan said, her tone carrying a hint of emphasis. But unity must also be built on understanding and trust. Don't you agree, Sister Houlian? Houlian's jaw tightened. She recognized the challenge in He Yulan's words. Trust is earned through honesty, Houlian replied, her voice firm, and understanding comes from knowing each other's true intentions. He Yulan's smile didn't falter, but her eyes sharpened. Wise words, Sister Houlian. Perhaps we should spend more time together to better understand one another. Lady Cam intervened, sensing the conversation veering toward conflict. Let's not let misunderstandings divide us. We all want what is best for our families and our shared future. Isn't that right? Yulan inclined her head, her smile softening. Of course, Sister Cam, you are always the voice of reason. Despite the surface cordiality, the tension in the room was palpable. Each woman left with her own thoughts, the seeds of distrust growing ever deeper. That evening, Xia Houlian confided in Zhang Fei, sitting by the hearth in their modest quarters. She recounted the events of the day, her frustration evident. Yulan pretends to care about unity, but her words are laced with challenges, Houlian said, her tone heated. And Lady Cam, she's too cautious. I can't tell if she's being sincere or if she's hiding something. Zhang Fei listened in silence, his rugged face thoughtful. Yulan is clever, he said finally, and Cam is wise, but you, Houlian, are honest. Don't let their games make you doubt yourself. Houlian looked at her husband, her resolve hardening. I won't let them manipulate me, but I need to understand what they're planning. Zhang Fei nodded. Then watch them closely. Sometimes, actions speak louder than words. Meanwhile, Yulan was weaving her own plans. Returning to her quarters, she summoned her trusted maid, Mei, who had served her family for years. Mai was not only loyal but also adept at gathering information. Mei, Yulan said as she prepared for bed, I need you to keep an ear to the ground. Observe Lady Cam and Xia Houlian. Report anything unusual to me. Mai nodded. Of course, madam. Is there something specific you're concerned about? Yulan hesitated, choosing her words carefully. Lady Cam is wise, but wisdom can sometimes mask ambition. As for Houlian, she's too unpredictable. I need to ensure neither of them poses a threat to our harmony. Mai bowed and left, leaving Yulan alone with her thoughts. For all her outward confidence, Yulan couldn't ignore the growing unease within her. The court of Liu Bei was a delicate balance of alliances and power, and she couldn't afford to misstep. Lady Cam, too, was grappling with her thoughts. As she sat in her chamber that night, she reflected on the day's events. She saw through Yulan's calculated charm and Houlian's impulsive honesty. Both women were formidable in their own ways, and both could disrupt the fragile harmony she had worked so hard to maintain. Lady Cam's maid approached, holding a letter. Madam, this arrived for you. Cam took the letter, her expression unreadable as she broke the seal. The contents were brief but concerning. A report from one of her informants detailing whispers of unrest among Liu Bei's generals. It seemed not all of them trusted the unity of the wives, viewing their interactions as potential sources of division. Cam's grip on the letter tightened. She couldn't allow personal rivalries to jeopardize Liu Bei's position. She resolved to find a way to defuse the growing tension among the women, even if it meant making difficult choices. The following days were marked by subtle moves and countermoves. Houlian began visiting the market more frequently, under the guise of buying supplies. But in truth, she was speaking with merchants and servants to gather information. Yulan, through Mai, quietly monitored these activities, while Lady Cam's informants kept her apprised of both women's actions. Each woman was playing her own game, their bonds of sisterhood strained under the weight of suspicion and ambition. But what none of them realized was that their individual actions were beginning to attract attention beyond the inner circle. In the shadows, unseen forces were taking note, ready to exploit the growing cracks in their unity. The stage was set for a confrontation, one that would reveal not only their true intentions but also the depths of their loyalty and betrayal. The tension among the three women, once hidden behind layers of politeness, began to manifest in small but unmistakable ways. Yulan's sharp words, Xia Houlian's fiery temperament, and Lady Cam's quiet but watchful demeanor formed a web of strained relationships that was growing more intricate by the day. Their subtle games of influence, however, were about to be disrupted by forces beyond their control. One cold morning, a messenger arrived at Liu Bei's court bearing urgent news. A rebel faction within the territory had begun to stir unrest, threatening the fragile stability of the region. This required immediate attention from the generals, who were summoned to plan their strategy. While the men deliberated, The women were left to their own devices, but instead of uniting in their husband's absence, the seeds of mistrust among the wives began to sprout in earnest. Yulan was the first to act, convinced that Lady Cam's diplomatic demeanor concealed hidden motives. She instructed Mai to infiltrate the servants' quarters in search of anything incriminating about Lady Cam. "Watch her closely," Yulan said as she handed Mai a small pouch of silver coins. "She's too composed. No one can be that perfect without harboring secrets." Mai nodded and slipped away, her footsteps silent against the cold stone floors. Meanwhile, Xia Houlian had begun her own quiet investigation. Over the past few days, she had noticed that Yulan maid frequently visited the marketplace, speaking to merchants in hushed tones. Houlian decided to follow Mai on her next trip. Disguised in a simple cloak, she moved unnoticed among the bustling crowd. At the marketplace, Houlian overheard Mai conversing with a merchant about grain shipments. Although the topic seemed innocuous, the way Mai leaned in and whispered suggested there was more to the conversation. Houlian's suspicions deepened. Was Yulan attempting to control the court's resources? And if so, to what end? Determined to uncover the truth, Houlian decided to confront Lady Cam, whom she believed could offer clarity. That evening, she visited Lady Cam in her chambers. "Sister Cam," Houlian began, her voice low but insistent, "I need to speak with you about Yulan." Lady Cam looked up from the embroidery she had been working on, her expression calm. "What is it?" "Sister Houlian, I've been observing her maid," Houlian said, leaning closer. "She's been asking too many questions in the marketplace, speaking with merchants about supplies. I can't help but wonder if Yulan is scheming something." Lady Cam paused, her needle hovering over the fabric. "Yulan is clever, but she's also cautious. Perhaps she's merely ensuring her household is prepared for uncertain times." Houlian frowned, unsatisfied with the response. "You always defend her, Sister Cam. Why? Do you not see how she manipulates every situation?" Lady Cam set down her embroidery, meeting Houlian's gaze. "And what of you, Houlian? Your fiery nature could just as easily lead to misunderstandings. Are you certain your suspicions are justified?" Houlian's temper flared. "So, you take her side after all. Perhaps you're not as neutral as you pretend to be." Before Lady Cam could respond, a servant burst into the room, her face pale. "Madams, there's been an incident. A message from the generals. There's unrest in the city. They request that all families remain indoors." The two women exchanged tense glances, their argument momentarily forgotten. Trouble was brewing, and the delicate balance of power in the court was about to be tested. The following night, chaos erupted in Xiangyang. The rebel faction had infiltrated the city, setting fires and attacking key supply routes. The once quiet streets were now filled with the sounds of clashing swords and panicked cries. Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei were occupied on the front lines, leaving the court vulnerable. Inside the palace, Yulan, Houlian, and Lady Cam found themselves forced to work together to protect their households. But the simmering mistrust between them made collaboration difficult. "We must barricade the entrances and secure the servants," Lady Cam instructed, her voice calm but firm. Houlian, her spear in hand, scoffed. "Words won't stop rebels from breaching these walls. We need a plan to fight back." Yulan, standing by the window, observed the chaos outside. "And risk drawing more attention to the palace? No, we must remain hidden and wait for the generals to return." The three women argued, their voices growing louder until a sudden crash interrupted them. A group of armed rebels had broken through the outer gates, their torches illuminating the night sky. Houlian didn't hesitate. Gripping her spear, she turned to the other two. "Stay here if you want, but I'm not waiting to be slaughtered." "Wait," Lady Cam called after her. "You'll only make yourself a target." Yulan, meanwhile, grabbed a dagger from a nearby table and handed it to Lady Cam. "She's reckless, but she's right about one thing. We can't sit idly by." Reluctantly, Lady Cam accepted the weapon. Together, the three women ventured into the palace corridors, their differences set aside in the face of a common enemy. As the night wore on, the women's individual strengths came to the forefront. Houlian's combat skills proved invaluable as she led a group of servants to repel the attackers. Yulan quick thinking allowed them to outmaneuver the rebels, using secret passageways to outflank their enemies. Lady Cam, with her calm demeanor, organized the remaining household staff, ensuring the wounded were tended to and supplies were preserved. By dawn, the palace was secure. The rebels had been driven back, thanks in no small part to the combined efforts of the three women. But the victory was bittersweet. The night's events had revealed both their strengths and their vulnerabilities, forcing them to confront the truths they had long avoided. In the aftermath, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the broken palace windows, the three women gathered in the main hall, exhausted but alive. They sat in silence, each lost in thought. Finally, Yulan spoke. "It seems we are stronger together than apart." Houlian, still clutching her spear, glanced at her. "Don't mistake necessity for trust. This changes nothing." Lady Cam sighed, her gaze steady. "Perhaps not, but perhaps it's a start." For the first time in months, the three women shared a moment of quiet understanding. The path ahead remained uncertain, and the rivalries between them would not easily fade. But in the face of adversity, they had proven that even the most fractured bonds could hold strong when tested. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was enough.